Ride are a British rock band that formed in 1988 in Oxford, England, consisting of Andy Bell, Mark Gardner, Laurence Colbert, and Steve Queralt. The band were initially part of the shoegazing scene that emerged in England during the early 1990s. Following the breakup of the band in 1996, members moved on to various other projects, most notably Bell, who became the bassist for Oasis. In 2001, the band members were briefly reunited for a one-off performance for a television show. Ride announced their second reunion in November 2014. Their debut album Nowhere has been named one of the greatest albums of the shoegazing genre. Nowhere was voted number 74 on Pitchfork Media's list of the top 100 albums of the 1990s, and the single Vapour Trail was voted at number 145 on Pitchfork's top 200 tracks of the 90s. The album is also included in the book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. History. Starting out Andy Bell and Mark Gardner had been to Chaney School in Oxford, appearing in the school's musical theatre productions, and in October 1988, they moved to Banbury to do foundation studies in art and design at North Oxfordshire College and the Oxfordshire School of Art and Design. There they met Laurence Colbert. Steve Queralt, who also went to Chaney School, was recruited from the local R. Price record shop where he worked as a singles buyer. After considering various names, the band settled for Ride, with its evocation of travel, and after the Ride symbol. Bell has cited a performance by the Smiths as the inspiration for forming a band. The band formed in the summer of 1988 and played their first gig as Ride for the college's Christmas party towards the end of the year. While still at Banbury, the band produced a demo tape, recorded in Queralt's bedroom and hallway, including the tracks Chelsea Girl and Drive Blind. Queralt and his record shop boss and future Ride manager Dave Newton had started a live music night in Oxford called Local Support, and it was due to a cancellation by another band that Ride got their first proper gig at one of these nights. Jim Reed of the Jesus and Mary Chain heard a copy of the demo that was in the possession of the DJ Gary Crowley, and this led to interest from Mary Chain manager Alan Moogie. After the band supported the Soup Dragons in 1989, Moogie signed them to his Creation Records label. Early creation years. Ride released 3 EPs between January and September 1990, entitled Ride, Play and Fall. All 3 EPs made it into the UK Top 75, with Play and Fall reaching the top 40. Ride's top 75 placing was a first for Creation Records. The first 2 EPs were released together as Smile in the USA in July 1990, while the Fall EP was incorporated into the CD version of their first album, Nowhere, released in October 1990. The band were often labeled as part of the shoegazing scene, but the band rejected this, Bell stating, "My first reaction was like, this is another boring tag. These days. That's pretty much still my reaction." Gardner said of the band's influences, "We liked the noisy bands of the time. When we were at art college we went to see My Bloody Valentine, House of Love, Stone Roses and Sonic Youth. I think these all had a lot of influence on us in the early days as they were great gigs." The band recorded 2 sessions for John Peel's BBC Radio 1 show in 1990, and their popularity with the show's listeners saw them with 3 tracks in the Festive 50 that year, with Dreams Burn Down, and Like a Daydream at numbers 3 and 4 respectively, and Taste at number 25. Nowhere was a critical and commercial success, reaching number 11 in the UK, and the media dubbed Ride the brightest hope for 1991. Demand for new material was high, and the band recorded another EP, Today Forever, released in March 1991. The EP marked a change in direction for the group away from the noisier early style. Ride made their first international tour to Japan, Australia and France later on that year. Tickets for the performances in Japan sold out within minutes. In February 1992 the band broke into the UK top 10 with Leave Them All Behind, and the following month saw the release of the band's second album Going Blank Again. The strain within the band was already apparent, Bell stating, "By the time the second album came out we were touring too much. We were tired. We then took time off, but it was too much time off." Change in musical direction. Ride were able to see out 1993 riding on the success of Going Blank Again, and a third LP was keenly anticipated. A double weekend of gigs with the Charlatans that year kept them in the public eye amid a wider lack of interest in the shoegazing scene. Their third LP, Carnival of Light, was released in June 1994, at a time when Britpop was the focus of the music press. Produced by John Leckie and partly engineered by Nigel Godrich, except, How Does It Feel to Feel? By Black Rose producer George Drakoulias, and featuring a guest appearance on keyboards from Jon Lord of Deep Purple, the album was split between songwriters Gardner and Bell, with the former's songs making up the first half of the album and the latter's the second. Not only did the album's sound eschew the band's earlier influences in favor of inspiration from classic rock, but the band's approach to songwriting also changed, whereas earlier material had been developed by jamming as a group. For Carnival of Light, Bell and Gardner would arrive in the studio with their songs more or less fully formed. Opening with the riff-heavy Moonlight Medicine, tracks also include From Time to Time, Birdman, and a cover of The Creations', How Does It Feel to Feel?, which was released as a single. The album was not well received by critics, Bell explaining these were good times but the music took second place. When we recorded the Carnival of Light album we got indulgent. By the end of 1994 even the band themselves were critical of the album, referring to it within the group as Carnival of Shite. The breakup. 1995 saw the dissolution of the band while recording Tarantula. Gardner and Bell had led the band away from their shoegazing roots to become more contemporary, hoping to change their style with the times. Queralt has remarked that the band had two future directions opening to them, and they chose the wrong option. Gardner had become interested in dance music, and wanted Ride to incorporate that into their style, while Bell disagreed. The track listing of Carnival of Light gives an indication of the tension that was mounting between the two guitarists, with the first half of the album being songs written by Mark Gardner and the last half of the album being songs written by Andy Bell. Andy Bell had refused to let his songs be interspersed with pieces written by Gardner. Years later Andy Bell explained Imagine an argument where the way you win, is by saying I don't want my songs on the same side of the album as yours, and it actually happens. We were allowed by the people around us to behave like total babies. By the time Tarantula appeared, the band was beginning to self-destruct. Bell penned most of the songs while Gardner provided only one, the tension within the band leading to an inability to write meaningful musical pieces. Castle on the Hill, written by Bell, was a lament for the band's situation and contains references to Gardner's self-imposed exile from the group. Gardner walked out during the album's mixing sessions, and the band announced their breakup shortly before its release in March 1996. The album was released and remained on sale for 1 week before being withdrawn. Critics and fans alike had panned the album. The album was described by AllMusic as an abomination of 70s Lenny Kravitz cliché copyright S, full of third and fourth-rate tunes and, ultimately, bad blood, going on to say the words are just plain awful throughout, not even worth printing. Rolling Stone were more complimentary, stating the album is saved from maudlin self-obsession because it's raw and rocks harder than anything else Ride have recorded. Since the breakup, both Bell and Gardner have been more reflective about the group's disintegration, with Bell especially admitting his own part in the process. Post-breakup years. After the split, Andy Bell formed a new band called Hurricane No. 1, but this project was permanently dissolved when he was asked to play bass for Oasis after having turned down the opportunity to join Gay Dad. He lived in Stockholm during this period. Mark Gardner and Laurence Colbert joined with Sam Williams to form the Amy Morehouse. As BMG signings, they were successful in Japan. The band was, however, short-lived and split in 2002. Gardner has also toured as a solo artist, while Colbert, Gardner and Bell have played in a Bob Dylan tribute band called the Zimmermen. During these years Queralt appeared to have retired from professional music. He spent the years following the breakup working in Oxford, playing five-a-side football, and raising a family. He is now living in Hammersmith, London. Channel 4 and Beyond. On October 16, 2001, all four members of Ride agreed to be filmed by Channel 4. The footage was used for the show Pioneers, a documentary on Sonic Youth, and featured a 20-minute improvised jam. The recording of this song, plus 2 short sound checks, were released in 2002 as Coming Up for Air. The interest in this limited release CD caused the band to consider future releases. In late 2002, Ride released a 3-CD box set which is made up of OX for the Best of Ride, Firing Blanks and Live Reading Festival 1992. In 2003 they released Waves, a collection of tracks from 5 radio sessions recorded for the BBC. Mark Gardner is also now pursuing a solo career. From 2003 to 2005, Gardner toured extensively, sometimes with the help of Oxford friends Goldrush, in order to personally fund a full-length studio album. During the tour, a 3-track EP with Goldrush and a live album were released. He also spent part of 2005 working with the French duo Rena Picavol copyright Rase. In late 2005, Gardner's album These Beautiful Ghosts was released in North America on United for Opportunity. Any thoughts of permanently reforming the band, however, were previously explicitly denied by Bell, with the reasoning that it would not live up to expectations. However, band members, Bell included, had stated that they would not mind working with each other again. Since then, Bell and Colbert has made an appearance at one of Gardner's early shows. Bell later shared 2 nights of acoustic sets with Gardner in November 2003 when Gardner made a tour stop in Bell's then home of Stockholm. Colbert has also started playing in a band again, as guitarist and vocalist. He has also played drums in different projects, most notably with the reformed Jesus and Mary Chain, Supergrass, International Jet Setters with fellow Jesus and Mary Chain bandmate Mark Crozer, and Damo Suzuki. In 2005, Gardner was stuck in France and unable to play the Truck Festival. Colbert's band filled the gap in the bill. Colbert studied on the 1-year diploma in drum performance at London's Drumtech after the split of Ride. Reunion. On November 19, 2014, it was announced that Ride have reunited again, and will perform a series of tour dates in Europe and North America in May and June 2015. On 10th and 17th April 2015, Ride performed at the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival and a live performance was broadcast by KCRW on April 8, 2015. That was followed by appearances on different venues and festivals in Northern America and Europe like Primavera Sound Festival, Melt Festival etc. They also toured America with fellow shoegazers DIIV. Discography Studio albums compilations and live albums Smile Sire Creation, Kaleidoscope Sire, Grasshopper Sire Warner Brothers. Cosmic Carnival Sire, Live Light Mutiny Electra, Ride Ignition, OX for the Best of Ride Ignition, Firing Blanks Unreleased Ride Recordings 1988 Euro 95, Live Reading Festival 1992, Waves. Singles Video Going Blank Again, Live at Brixton Academy. References. External links, official website, Ride Digital Archive, Ride at World Music Database.